Hello, welcome to the session on vocabulary. Today we will deal with Unit 3, Part 1 of Unit 3, where you will be having a passage and you have to read the passage carefully and answer the questions that are given below. And as the earlier in the Unit 2, we dealt with prefix, suffix, and other exercises. Here it is kind of a recap of the first unit where you dealt with the synonyms, antonyms and phrases. Anyway, we'll just a quick recap on what is synonym, antonym, idioms and phrases. We have already discussed this in the first lecture, but still, a synonym is a word, morpheme. Morpheme means a smallest meaningful unit or phrase of the same language that have the same or nearly the same meaning in some or all senses. An antonym is a word that means the opposite of another word. So synonym simply means meaning of a word and antonym is the opposite of a word. And coming to idioms, of course you are familiar with, you people all of you are familiar with the term idioms and phrases. Idioms are a collection of words or phrases which have a metaphorical meaning that is accepted in common language, which is part and parcel of your language. Sometimes you may know an idiom better than a word. Then a phrase is a small group of words that forms a conceptual unit. We have already discussed in the first lecture, but still this is a kind of quick recap since this unit deals with this only the synonyms, antonyms and idioms and phrases. Now we will move on to the passage. This is the passage given in your textbook. Raman was, you have to read the passage carefully so that you may be able to answer the questions given below. Okay, coming to the passage. Raman was a voracious reader and pored eagerly over all books in his father's collection, among which were original writings of great scientists. These books were to him like old friends, never to be forgotten. He once said, "Out of this welter of subjects and books, can I pick anything really to mould my mental and spiritual outlook and determine my chosen path? Yes, I can and shall mention 3 books. These 3 were Edwin Arnold's Light of Asia, which is the story of Gautama Buddha, The Elements of Euclid, a treatise on classical geometry, and The Sensations of Tone by German scientist Helmholtz on the properties of sound waves, a study of his manner of working, the problems he chose to work on, and the nature of the solutions he discovered does appear to carry the mark of these great minds." And this passage has been taken from the books that have influenced me, which is written by C.V. Raman, the great scientist. Okay, now we will move on to the exercises. Meanwhile, we will be coming back to the passage in order to find the answer of the questions that are given in the exercises. So, all the 10 exercises we will be dealing with are based on this passage. So, the first question is, dash in the passage means highly enthusiastic, and the answer is voracious. Our passage begins with that term. Raman was a voracious reader and pored eagerly over all books. He was highly interested, highly enthusiastic about books. Now we look into more synonyms. This synonyms of highly enthusiastic or voracious: ardent, avid, rapacious, unquenchable. And of course you might have heard of, okay, that person is an avid reader, that person has an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, etc., etc. So you might have come across all these words in many of your passages or many of your reading part. And now idioms: champing at the bit, go to the munchies, could eat a horse, ready and willing, etc. Okay, so hope the first question is clear. Voracious means highly enthusiastic. Now coming to the second question, pored eagerly over means, that too comes in the very first line of the passage. Raman was a voracious reader and pored eagerly over all books in his father's collection. So that means he looked into his father's books with great interest. So your options here are: read with great interest, studied carefully, both A and B, then skimmed through. Then the answer will be both A and B. Of course, he read with great interest, studied carefully. Then more phrases. There are more phrases for this phrase poured eagerly over. Look over, check over, run through, look through, leaf through, check out, size up, go over. Anyway, don't forget the phrase poured eagerly over. All other phrases I have given here you might have come across in your normal usage, but poured eagerly over is something we rarely use. That means that you are showing some kind of great interest towards reading. Okay, now we will move on to the third question. The word dash from the passage is an antonym of fake. Antonym, you can look into it in the very second line of the passage. It is there. All books in his father's collection, among which were original writings of great scientists. So the antonym or the opposite of the word fake is original. Answer is original. Now we look into more synonyms and antonyms of both the words. So synonyms of original can be real, primal, innovative, fresh, etc. And synonyms of fake can be sham, false, bogus, fraud, spurious, hoax, etc. And we look into a few antonyms or antonyms of original: fake, unoriginal, corny, hackneyed. And antonyms of fake: real, authentic, actual, honest. Now we will move on to the fourth question. Welter means, you have got quite this options: shelf, arrangement, confused, mass, room. And you can find that in the fourth sentence, that is, he once said, out of this welter of subjects and books, can I pick anything really to mould? So you can understand that there is a big mess of books, big collection of books, or kind of confused. It is not being like categorized into any journals or magazines or storybooks. It is not categorized. So that means confused mass. Welter means a confused mass of anything, any collection. And more synonyms: jumble, mess, muddle, ruckus, tumult, etc. And you can look into the similar phrases: hell broke loose, pitch and plunge, ebb and flow, then pitch and toss. So these are the similar phrases you can find. So welter meaning confused mass. Now we will move on to the fifth question. In the given passage, mould is related to the smithy, pottery, baking character. Of course, from the it is there in the same sentence where this welter of subjects and books come. Welter of subject and books. Can I pick anything really mould my mental and spiritual outlook? That means mould my character. So answer is character. So here in this passage, mould is related to character. And the synonyms of character are nature, quality, disposition, persona. And phrases, examples: frame of mind, cast of mind, straight, part, personal, temperament, etc. And now coming to the sixth question. Dash is a synonym of outlook. Outlook also you can see in the next line, that and spiritual outlook can determine my chosen path. The mould my mental and spiritual outlook. So outlook means worldview. Because he is asking help to mould his mental and spiritual outlook. That means his perspective about the world. Okay, so answer can be worldview. Your options are worldview, communication, expression, and function. So from that, your answer is worldview. And you can look into more synonyms. The more synonyms can be perspective, prospect, attitude, mindset, etc. And more phrases can be frame of reference, turn of mind, range of vision, line of sight, etc. So these are some few more examples of the phrases. Now coming to the question number 7, chosen path. That too comes in the same line which we have read now. The spiritual outlook can determine my chosen path, question mark. In the given context is related to course of action, of course, because the person seems to be confused what to read, when to read, and how to redefine himself. So that means it has something to do with redefining himself. That means it's a course of action or a master plan for betterment. Chosen path in the given context is related to, your options are raising, tourism, then course of action and pilgrimage. Of course, course of action, nothing else suits there. And you can find similar phrases. Similar phrases of course of action can be plan of action, way forward, plan of measures, line of action and stroke of policy. Now coming to the 8th question, the plural form of treatise is, it is you have got quite a lot of confusing spellings. B is the answer, treatises. Treatise means any kind of book or thesis or a kind of an article that brings forth some kind of argument, anything that brings in some kind of argument. And of course the books suggested here, the Light of Asia, Sensations of Tone, the Elements of Euclid, everything comes up with some kind of argument. You can see a treatise on classical geometry. The Sensation of Tone is a treatise on classical geometry, and the other thing of course philosophy, it's a treatise on philosophy, Light of Asia. Then so that is the meaning of treatise. You can look into the meaning or synonyms: book, thesis, monograph, tracts, discourses. Any kind of discourse, any kind of communication, any kind of statement that you produce in terms of an argument is termed as a treatise. It should have a valid point. Now coming to the question number 9, the word dash means characteristics of in the passage. Here after that classical geometry, that books, you have one sentence after, you can see, after the Sensations of Tone by German scientists on the properties of sound waves. So characteristics of means properties of. So that means you need to go through the passage very keenly. Then you will find the answer, even though you come across a new word. Okay, so the meaning is properties. Anyway, more synonyms of characteristics: features, traits, qualities, attributes, hallmark, quirks. I hope everybody is familiar with these terms. Now coming to the last question, which phrase in the passage shows that Raman was influenced by the 3 books he mentions? Because when in the last line, you can see the last line, a study of his manner of working, the problems he chose to work on, and the nature of the solutions he discovered does appear to carry the mark of these great minds. So that means Raman was definitely influenced by these books. And of course you can see that the source, the title of the book that was written by C.V. Raman itself is Books That Have Influenced Me. So from that, definitely he will be talking about the books that left some sort of mark in him. So that is the phrase, carry the mark of. So that's all about for today, and in the next lecture we will deal with the practice exercises, which are of general nature, doesn't actually depends on the passage. That we will deal with in the next lecture. Thank you.